Keeping up with AI these days is like, I don't know, it's like trying to drink from a fire hose, right?
Yeah.
Every single day, there's a new headline
Yeah.
about some mind-blowing AI breakthrough.
Right.
And, you bookmark all these articles thinking, oh, I'll catch up later. But
Yeah.
who are kidding?
Mm.
So that is where this deep dive comes in. We're tackling research excerpts about InternVL 2.5,
Okay.
a new open source AI that is causing quite a stir.
Right.
Our mission is to give you the need-to-know info on this potentially game-changing tech.
It really is a fascinating development.
Yeah.
Especially because InternVL 2.5 is a multimodal AI.
Okay.
And that means it's not limited to just text, like some of the AIs that you might be familiar with.
Yeah.
It can actually understand and work with images, videos,
Wow.
even charts,
Sure.
getting closer to how we humans experience the world.
So it's not just reading, it's like perceiving.
Exactly.
That's a big deal.
Absolutely. It's a step toward AI that can grasp the world in a more holistic way.
Okay.
And InternVL 2.5,
Yeah.
developed by a team
Okay.
passionate about open source AI, is making waves because it rivals the performance of those big commercial models.
Right.
Like GPT-4o and Claude 3.5 Sonnet.
Those are the big names.
Yeah, but here's the kicker.
Okay.
It's available for anyone to use and build upon.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Talk about leveling the playing field.
Yeah,
And it's
that.
not just hype. I mean, they have the results to back it up.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first open source multimodal AI to score over 70% on the MMMU benchmark.
Okay.
Which basically means it's really good at understanding and connecting ideas across different subjects.
Precisely. It's like having an AI
Yeah.
that can see the links between, say, historical trends and economic principles.
Okay, I'm already seeing the potential here.
Right.
But before we get too carried away,
Mm-hmm.
let's break down how this thing actually works.
Okay.
The research mentions a ViT MLP LLM paradigm. Can you demystify that for us?
Think of it as a three-part harmony.
Okay.
You've got the eyes,
Uh-huh.
which is the InternViT vision encoder.
Okay.
It comes in two sizes.
Okay.
One with a whopping 5.5 billion parameters,
Wow.
and a slightly smaller one with 300 million.
Oh.
Think of parameters like the brain cells of the AI.
Yeah.
More parameters generally mean more learning power.
Got it.
Then there's the connector,
Okay.
which links the visual info to the brain,
Uh-huh.
which is the large language model that processes everything.
So it sees, it connects, it thinks.
Yeah.
Got it. But there's more to the story, right?
Yeah,
This dynamic resolution strategy for images sounds pretty slick.
right. Instead of trying to analyze an entire image all at once,
Okay.
it breaks it down into smaller tiles.
Okay.
Kind of like how our eyes scan a scene, focusing on different areas.
Right. Yeah.
This makes processing more efficient.
Clever. And speaking of efficiency, they talk a lot about this data packing strategy and a data filtering pipeline. What's the deal with those?
It's all about getting the most out of the data.
Okay.
The data packing strategy is like fitting everything you need for a trip
Uh-huh.
into a perfectly organized suitcase.
Got it.
No wasted space.
Yeah.
This helps InternVL 2.5 process more information faster.
Okay.
Then there's the data filtering pipeline,
Okay.
which is like having a super strict editor for the AI's learning material.
I like that analogy.
It removes any low quality or repetitive data,
Uh-huh.
which helps the model avoid errors
Right.
and those moments where it might
Okay.
hallucinate.
Hallucinate. Wait, like seeing things that aren't there?
Exactly.
Whoa.
AI hallucinations are when the model generates incorrect or nonsensical output,
Okay.
like seeing a unicorn in a photo of a dog.
I'm picturing that right now.
Cleaning the data helps prevent that.
Okay, so we've got a super efficient,
Yeah.
carefully curated AI.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the big question,
Yeah.
how well does it actually perform? They put it through a gauntlet of tests, right?
Oh, they did. And the results are pretty remarkable.
Okay.
One thing that jumped out at me was its performance on math benchmarks.
Math. Okay.
We're talking Olympiad and GOCO level problems,
Whoa.
which are notoriously difficult even for humans.
Right.
Math is a big challenge for AI, so this is a significant win.
So it's not just browsing the internet, it's solving complex equations.
It is.
Color me impressed.
Mm-hmm.
What else is it good at?
It also shines in real-world comprehension.
Okay.
There are benchmarks like real-world QA and Wild Vision
Okay.
that test its ability to understand the nuances of everyday images.
Okay.
like the difference between a cat napping on a couch and one about to knock a vase off a table.
So it's getting context, not just identifying objects.
Exactly.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So are we saying that InternVL 2.5 is basically perfect?
Well, I figured that was a trick question. No AI is perfect.
Right.
While it's impressive,
Yeah.
there's still a gap between it and those top-secret closed-source models,
Okay.
especially when it comes to things like understanding long videos
Yeah.
and giving really nuanced responses.
Oh, okay.
It's more like a gifted student than a seasoned professor.
I like that analogy.
Still room to grow.
Still room to grow, yeah.
Exactly. And remember, this is just the beginning for InternVL 2.5.
Right.
It's going to keep evolving.
That's exciting.
Now, if you're curious about how they actually trained this AI...
Oh, I definitely am.
Okay.
This can't be a simple process.
It's a multi-stage effort.
Okay.
Imagine an athlete training for the Olympics. They start with basic exercises, then gradually ramp up to more complex skills.
Depends.
The training for InternVL 2.5 is similar. First, there's the MLP warm-up, where the model focuses on basic alignment between visual and textual information.
So it's learning to see clearly before moving on to more advanced stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
And finally, they do a full model instruction tuning.
Okay.
Where everything, the vision, the language, the connector,
are trained together on a massive data set of high-quality examples.
Got it.
This is like the final stage of training, where the AI puts it all together and learns to perform at its best.
I'm guessing this requires a supercomputer the size of a small city?
You're not wrong. Training an AI this complex is computationally expensive.
Yeah.
But they cleverly used what's called a progressive scaling strategy.
Okay.
They started with smaller models and gradually scaled them up.
So instead of trying to build Rome in a day, you start with a small village and gradually expand.
It's like building a house by adding rooms one at a time instead of trying to construct the whole thing all at once.
Smart move.
Yeah.
And what about this random JPEG compression technique they talk about?
Okay.
Sounds a bit strange.
It's actually quite clever.
Okay.
By randomly compressing images during training, they're simulating the kind of imperfections we see in real-world images.
Okay.
It's like training an athlete in all kinds of weather conditions.
So they're prepared for anything.
It's learning to handle the messiness of real life.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And then there's loss reweighting.
Yeah.
Which sounds super technical.
It is, but think of it like this.
Okay.
They're essentially teaching the AI to be a good conversationalist.
Interesting.
They're fine-tuning how long or short its responses should be. So it can be both concise and detailed depending on the situation.
So it's learning to read the room, so to speak.
Right.
Fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
Now, let's zero in on its vision capabilities.
Okay.
They didn't just take its word for it, right?
Right.
They ran some serious tests.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
They tested InternVL's vision using two main approaches: image classification and semantic segmentation.
Okay.
Image classification is like recognizing a dog in a photo.
Okay, yeah.
Semantic segmentation is more like outlining that dog pixel by pixel.
Wow, okay.
Creating a super detailed understanding of what's in the image.
So it's not just seeing, it's understanding the image at a granular level.
Exactly. They used a whole battery of tests to evaluate this.
Okay.
And what's fascinating is that as the model evolved, it shifted from learning simple features to recognizing more complex relationships between things in the image.
Oh.
It's like the difference between knowing it's a dog and understanding that the dog is happy because its tail is wagging.
So it's moving from perception to actual comprehension.
It is.
That's incredible.
Indeed. And we haven't even touched on its language skills yet.
Well, let's talk about those then.
Okay.
I mean, for an AI meant to interact with us humans, language has got to be pretty important.
You are absolutely right. Strong language skills are essential. To ensure InternVL 2.5 was up to par.
Right.
They tested its language capabilities across 5 key areas.
Okay.
Comprehensive examination, language and knowledge, reasoning, mathematics, and even coding.
Wow.
They used a whole slew of benchmarks, and the results were fascinating. What's remarkable is that even while gaining these amazing visual abilities, InternVL 2.5 didn't lose its linguistic edge.
Yeah, that's great.
It either maintained, or even, get this, improved its language skills across the board.
That's a relief. I was a little worried it might become a visual savant, but forget how to, like, hold a conversation.
Right.
So what did this linguistic evaluation actually involve? It sounds pretty intense.
They used a whole range of benchmarks,
Okay.
testing its ability to understand complex texts,
Uh-huh.
solve logic problems,
Yeah.
even write different kinds of creative content.
So like essays, poems.
Exactly. Think of it like the AI was taking the SATs for language,
Okay.
and it passed with flying colors.
No.
Now, going back to that data filtering pipeline we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
you said it's like a strict editor for the AI's learning material.
Right. Right.
Can you unpack that a bit more? What exactly are they filtering out, and why is it so important?
That's a good question. I'm curious too.
Well, it all boils down to making sure the AI is learning from the best possible data.
Makes sense.
One big challenge is dealing with, repetitive outputs.
Uh-huh.
You don't want the AI getting stuck in a loop,
Right.
spitting out the same phrases over and over again.
Right. Like a broken record.
Exactly. So they used a clever combination of automation and human oversight.
Okay.
First, they used a prompt to identify potentially repetitive samples in the data.
Uh-huh.
But they didn't just blindly trust the algorithm.
Right. Yeah.
They had humans manually review those samples
Okay.
to make sure they were truly repetitive.
So it's a checks and balances system.
Yeah.
To ensure quality control.
Precisely. And they didn't stop there.
Oh.
They also created a set of rules to weed out low-quality samples.
Okay.
Things like nonsensical text, irrelevant info,
Right.
or data that was just too short or too similar to other samples.
So it's like they're training the AI to be discerning,
Right.
to recognize what constitutes good information.
Exactly. And just like with the repetition check,
Mm-hmm.
these rules were backed up by human verification
Okay.
to make sure they were working as intended.
Wow. So much human involvement still.
Yeah, there's still a human in the loop.
This is starting to sound like a very elaborate and meticulous process.
It is.
Did they share any examples of what they were trying to filter out?
They did.
Really?
The research actually includes some visualizations
Okay.
showing examples of repetitive outputs in different types of data,
Uh-huh.
from single images to videos and even text.
Okay. I'll have to check this out.
It's a good reminder that AI, even at this level,
Uh-huh.
can still make some pretty funny mistakes.
I bet. It's good for a laugh, but I can see how that could be a problem
Yeah,
if you're relying on the AI for something important.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why this data filtering pipeline is so crucial.
Yeah.
By focusing on quality data,
Right.
they're making InternVL 2.5 more reliable, accurate,
Mm-hmm.
and less prone to those AI hallucinations.
Good.
It's all about building trust in the technology.
Trust is important.
Yes.
Okay, so we've talked about filtering out the bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the good stuff? Where did all this training data actually come from?
They gathered a massive and diverse collection of data sets
Okay.
from all sorts of sources,
Wow.
focusing on a wide range of topics and formats.
Okay.
Remember, we're talking about pre-training,
Right.
which is like laying the foundation for the AI's knowledge,
Okay.
and fine-tuning, which is like honing those skills for specific tasks.
Right, like building a general knowledge base and then specializing in certain areas.
Exactly. For
Great.
pre-training, they pulled data from image captioning tasks,
Okay.
question answering data sets,
Mm-hmm.
mathematical problem sets,
Okay.
charts, text recognition data sets, knowledge bases, you name it.
Wow.
They even included medical texts and data related to user interfaces.
Wow, it's like they threw the entire internet at it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The goal was to expose InternVL 2.5 to as much information as possible to give it a broad understanding of the world. And importantly,
Yeah.
they focused on data that was structured like a conversation with questions and answers.
I see. So they were training it to be conversational right from the start.
Yes.
Not just processing information, but actually interacting.
Exactly. They
Yeah.
wanted to learn how to communicate effectively.
Okay.
Then, for the fine-tuning stage, they got even more specific.
Okay.
They expanded the data set, adding even more open-source data,
Okay.
and even created some synthetic data to fill in any gaps.
Synthetic data, is that like artificial data?
You got it. It's a way to create more training data
Okay.
without having to manually collect it all.
I can see how that would be useful.
And just as important as the quantity of data was the quality.
Right.
They went to great lengths to clean the data,
Okay.
remove repetitive patterns,
Right.
and rewrite short, low-quality responses
Yeah.
to more detailed and informative interactions.
So it's not just about feeding the AI a ton of information.
Right.
It's about feeding it the right kind of information.
Absolutely. It's like giving the AI a balanced and nutritious diet so it can grow strong and healthy.
This is amazing.
It is.
I mean, we're talking about millions upon millions of data samples,
Yes.
all carefully curated and filtered.
It was a monumental effort.
Yeah.
But it highlights just how crucial data is in AI development.
Yeah.
The quality and diversity of the training data directly impact how well the AI performs.
It's like the old saying, garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly.
So it sounds like InternVL 2.5 got a 5-star education.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's talk about how it actually performs in the real world.
Okay.
What were some of the tests that really put its skills to the test?
They evaluated its performance on a huge range of tasks,
Okay.
covering everything from reasoning and mathematics to document understanding and even real-world comprehension.
It sounds pretty thorough.
One of the key benchmarks they used was MMMU.
Okay.
It's designed to assess the AI's ability to understand and reason about complex information from multiple sources.
So like what?
Text, images, you name it. It covers a whole range of academic disciplines, like science, history, literature,
Okay.
even social sciences.
So it's not just about seeing and talking, it's about connecting ideas from different fields, thinking critically.
Exactly. It's a measure of the AI's overall intelligence and ability to apply its knowledge to solve problems.
And how did InternVL 2.5 stack up against the competition on this benchmark?
It did remarkably well.
Good.
It was actually the first open-source MLLM to score over 70% on the MMMU validation set.
Wow, okay.
That was a major milestone.
Yeah.
Especially considering he was going head-to-head with some leading commercial models.
So it's not just keeping up with the big guys,
Right.
It's actually setting a new standard for open source AI.
Exactly. And MMMU wasn't the only test where it shined.
Okay, what else?
They also used something called MathVista,
Math
which specifically on math reasoning in visual contexts.
with pictures, what does that even mean?
It means the AI has to understand and solve math problems that involve images or diagrams, not just text.
So instead of just like 2 + 2,
Right.
it might be a diagram.
Exactly. For example, it might have to calculate the area of a shape shown in a picture
Oh,
or interpret data presented in a graph.
that sounds like a whole other level of complexity.
It is.
Did InternVL 2.5 manage to handle it?
It did.
Really?
It showed a real knack for reasoning about geometric shapes,
Okay.
interpreting graphs and charts,
Yeah.
and even solving those dreaded algebraic equations when they were presented visually.
Okay, this AI is officially making me feel inadequate.
Don't worry, you're not alone. But what's exciting is that this points to a future where AI could help us solve complex math problems that are currently beyond human capabilities.
Yeah, it's exciting and scary at the same time.
It is. It's opening up new frontiers in scientific discovery and engineering.
That's a mind-blowing thought.
Yeah.
But let's shift gears from the abstract world of math
Okay.
to something a bit more down-to-earth.
Right.
Real-world comprehension.
Okay.
How did they test InternVL 2.5's ability to understand the complexities of everyday life? The kind of stuff we all encounter on a daily basis.
That's a crucial aspect of any AI that's meant to be truly useful, right?
Yeah.
They use some really interesting benchmarks for this,
Like what?
including real-world QA and wild vision.
Okay, tell me more about those. What kind of real-world scenarios are we talking about here?
Well, real-world QA is all about testing spatial understanding.
Okay.
It might show the AI a picture of a busy street and ask, is the car parked in front of the store or behind it?
Okay. Yeah.
This requires the AI to not just recognize objects,
Right.
but also understand how they relate to each other in space.
I see.
That sounds pretty challenging.
It does. I mean,
Yeah.
even I get confused about spatial relationships sometimes.
We're not alone. But InternVL 2.5 did a great job.
Okay, good.
It showed a real grasp of those spatial concepts,
Like what?
like in front of, behind, next
Yeah.
to, all those prepositions that define how we navigate the world.
So it's not just recognizing objects in isolation.
Right.
It's understanding the whole scene, the context.
Exactly. And that's essential for navigating real-world environments,
Right.
whether it's driving a car, operating a robot,
Yeah.
or even just finding your way around a crowded room.
Right. So what about wild vision? What makes that benchmark unique?
Wild vision is all about testing the AI in more realistic and unpredictable scenarios.
Okay.
It uses human preferences to judge how well the AI is doing.
So instead of just comparing the AI's answers to a predefined set of correct answers,
Right.
they're actually asking humans to judge how natural,
Yeah,
informative, and helpful the responses are.
exactly. It's a more subjective evaluation, but also a more realistic one.
I could see that.
After all, if an AI is going to be truly useful in the real world,
Yeah.
it needs to be able to communicate effectively with humans.
Right.
It needs to understand our nuances, our humor, our quirks.
It needs to get us.
It does.
So how did InternVL 2.5 fare on this human-centric test?
It did quite well,
Okay.
especially when it came to providing concise and accurate answers.
Mm-hmm.
However, there was still a bit of a gap between its performance and that of some of the leading commercial models,
Okay.
particularly when it came to generating more nuanced and elaborate responses.
So it can ace the multiple choice questions,
Right.
but maybe needs a little more work on those essay questions.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
It shows that while InternVL 2.5 has come a long way, there's still room for improvement
Of course.
in terms of generating more human-like engaging conversations.
Right.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah, we have.
This is all pretty mind-boggling.
It really is, and we've only just begun to explore the capabilities of InternVL 2.5.
I know.
It feels like every answer just leads to more fascinating questions.
Right.
We've talked about how it learns, how it's tested. There's still so much more to uncover.
There is.
Let's give our listener a moment to process all of this amazing information.
Yeah, let's take a quick break.
Welcome back, everyone. We're wrapping up our deep dive into InternVL 2.5.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it?
It really has. Before the break, we were marveling at how this AI manages to juggle incredible visual understanding with top-notch language skills.
Right.
Now, I want to talk about something that's becoming more and more important in our interconnected world. Languages.
Ah, yes. Can this AI handle the nuances of multiple languages?
That's the million-dollar question.
The exciting news is that it can. InternVL 2.5 was trained on data from various languages. They didn't just stop at simple translation tests either.
Oh.
They used benchmarks like MMMB, multilingual MMBench, and MTDQA. These evaluate how well the AI understands those tricky cultural nuances, the idioms and the different ways people express ideas across languages.
So it's not just about knowing what a word means in the dictionary.
Exactly.
It's about understanding how it's used in different contexts, in different cultures. That seems like a pretty high bar for AI, honestly.
It really is. These benchmarks also look at how the AI handles visual information in a multilingual setting. For example, can it understand a question about a picture described in, say, Chinese, even if it learned mostly from English data?
Wow. That's like testing if it truly grasps the meaning behind the words, no matter what language they're in?
Exactly. And the results.
Okay, tell me, how did it do?
It exceeded expectations. Seriously.
That's amazing.
It showed strong performance across multiple languages. They tested English, Chinese, Portuguese, Arabic, Turkish, even Russian.
Wow. So theoretically, it could be chatting with someone in Beijing about a photo, then switch over to a conversation with someone in Moscow about a different image, all without missing a beat.
That's the vision. And don't forget, it's open source, so researchers and developers worldwide can help it learn even more languages.
That's the beauty of open source. It's a global effort. Speaking of global, we can't ignore video. It's everywhere these days.
It really is.
How did they figure out if InternVL 2.5 can make sense of video, that kind of dynamic, always changing information?
They put it through a whole series of video understanding benchmarks. Video MME, MVBench, MBench Video, MLVU, Long Video Bench, CG Bench, just to name a few.
Wow, that's a lot.
Each one looks at a different aspect of video understanding, recognizing actions, events, figuring out the order things happen in.
So, can it follow the plot of a movie? Can it understand why characters do what they do? Can it even guess what might happen next?
Exactly. And you know what? InternVL 2.5 did remarkably well.
Okay, but come on, no AI is perfect.
You got me there.
Was there anything about video that tripped it up?
Well, there was a slight drop in performance when they made it process a lot of frames, especially on that long video bench test. It suggests that it's great with short video clips, but figuring out really long videos with tons of frames is still a work in progress.
So it's like it has a good short-term memory for video, but needs to work on the long-term recall.
That's a great way to put it. It's like me trying to remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. It highlights the challenge of keeping things in context when events happen over a long time.
Makes sense.
It's something AI researchers are tackling head-on.
It reminds us that even with all this progress, AI still has its quirks.
Definitely.
Let's talk about one that can be a bit, embarrassing. Hallucinations.
Oh, yes.
We touched on it earlier, but can you remind us what AI hallucinations are and how the researchers tried to deal with that in InternVL 2.5?
AI hallucinations, those moments when the model says something that's just plain wrong or nonsensical, like it's making stuff up. It can be funny, but also kind of worrisome.
Right. It's like the AI is spinning a tall tale.
Exactly. It can erode trust, especially if people believe those made-up things.
Yeah.
The researchers knew this was a big deal.
So what did they do?
Remember that data filtering pipeline?
Yeah.
It helps keep bad information out of the AI's training.
Okay, so it learns from good sources. But did they test it specifically for hallucinations?
They did. They used benchmarks designed to be extra tricky, almost like trying to trick the AI into making stuff up.
Like a lie detector test for AI. I like it.
You use tests like hallucination bench, MMHAL bench, CRPE, and POPE. And guess what?
What?
InternVL 2.5 did really well. Not perfect, because no AI is, but it was way less likely to hallucinate than previous models, especially the smaller ones.
That's good to hear.
It shows that being careful about the data, using smart training techniques, and choosing the right tests makes a difference.
So all those things help keep the AI honest.
You could say that.
Now, we've talked about all these multimodal abilities, understanding images, text, even video.
Right.
But did its core language skills suffer while it was learning all that?
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
You don't want an AI that's so focused on what it sees that it can't express itself properly.
Exactly. Balance is key.
To make sure InternVL 2.5 didn't lose its way with words, they gave it a whole battery of language tests.
Oh, like what?
Reading comprehension, pulling out information, logical thinking, solving math problems, even coding. A real language arts marathon for AI.
Okay, and how did it do after all that multimodal training?
Really well, actually.
Dude, that's good.
Some earlier versions did show a slight dip in language skills after they learned about images and all. But with InternVL 2.5, they either stayed the same or even got better.
That's great news. So this AI can write a decent essay, solve a tricky puzzle, maybe even fix a bug in some code.
It can.
All while understanding images and videos. This AI is a true multitasker.
It is. The researchers really wanted to build a well-rounded system, and they nailed it.
This whole deep dive has been fascinating. We've learned so much about InternVL 2.5.
It really pushes the boundaries of what's possible with AI, especially open source AI.
And that's what's so exciting. The fact that it's open source means anyone can learn from it, use it, build on it. It's like AI for everyone. Who knows what amazing things people will create with it?
The possibilities are truly endless. Medicine, education, engineering, art. It could change everything.
It's mind-blowing to think about. This isn't just some futuristic fantasy. AI is already having a huge impact on our lives.
It really is.
I hope our listeners are feeling as inspired as I am. If you want to go deeper, we've got a link to the full research paper in the show notes.
Definitely check it out.
And remember, the world of AI never stands still.
Never.
So stay curious, keep exploring, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one making the next big AI breakthrough. Until next time, happy diving.
Happy diving.